Welcome to SibSpot, where today we share Reddit stories from Petty Revenge. Story 1 is from Owl Research. Always check your mirrors. My sister and I just finished grocery shopping, and I was pushing the cart with our groceries to my car when all of a sudden I hear a honk behind us. I was confused because we were not in the way at all. In fact, if I moved any more to the parked cars, I would have hit them with my cart. He flipped us off and parked his car. My sister and I looked at each other confused, but honestly, I was feeling mad. I noticed he parked his car next to the area where you're supposed to drop off your carts. I also noticed he was just dropping someone off and is about to leave. I told my sister to go in the car and I'll handle the groceries. I hurriedly put the groceries away in my trunk and headed to the drop-off area for carts, except I put my cart right behind his car. I quickly walked back to my car and explained everything to my sister. We were still able to see his car where I was parked, so we were just waiting to see his reaction. After a few seconds, we see the car backing up and bam, hits the cart. I quickly drove off after that, so I'm not sure if he damaged his car. I didn't think he would hit the cart. My original revenge intent was going to be that he would have to get out of his car and move the cart, and it would just be an annoying inconvenience for him, but I guess that worked too. Not my fault he didn't check his mirrors. There's a reply to this story by somebody named I Miss AOL Chat Rooms. Once I'm driving in a rainstorm, rain driving sideways. I stop to turn left as I'm waiting for a clear lane. A cart blows from a Kmart lot and comes to rest on my bumper. The oncoming lane clears and the cart is still there. Before I can get out, some fool in a pickup truck behind me starts honking. I'm in the left lane and there's plenty of room to go around me on the right, so I decide to sit and let the guy honk. After 15 seconds, he puts it in reverse, blaring his horn. He charges at me like he's gonna slam into my rear end. I cannot go because the cart is against my bumper. Then, last minute, he swerves around me. Simultaneously, the wind puts the cart in his lane. He hits it, it folds under his truck, sparks, horrible metal tearing sound, steam, blue smoke. Path was clear, so I turned left. He was still there when I left for home 45 minutes later. This is why they didn't want to go over the cart. They can actually cause some serious damage if they're hit at the wrong angle. Road rage, road rage, road rage. It's rampant, and it's amazing how impatient people are when they're in control of a large, deadly vehicle. You'd think them getting home maybe 10 seconds later was going to ruin their life with the way they act. It's always pickup trucks or BMWs. I'm not sure what it is that draws this kind of person to these vehicles, but it's definitely a noticeable difference from other cars. Our next story is by Creepy Fig. So you ghost me on payday? I'm gonna ghost you on presentation day. So I just resigned from my job, small company, because my manager would not pay me on time. He would avoid me on payday and I would have to seek him out and ask why he hasn't paid me yet. I work remotely so we don't see each other often. Granted, he wasn't always this bad, but he always paid me later than he was supposed to. This year, however, it got worse as the company started doing badly. I'm an understanding person, but what irritated me more than anything was how I'd have to ask him why I'm not paid, instead of him informing me that things are bad and salary will be delayed. So I started planning my exit plan. We also had a big project that we were working on and was supposed to be presented for the clients. Comes presentation day, I don't show up. He texts and calls and I ignore him. Then later that day, I emailed him my resignation. I thought I should make him feel what he's made me feel for months. It's totally fair. It's totally fair. You do not have to work without pay. Him expecting you to come do this big presentation when he hasn't paid you? Forget it. I would have resigned a long time before that. You pay on time. People need money. People are suffering lately. They need their money on time. Our next story is by Revolutionary Low. I skip songs to make my bio mother unhappy while I drive. This is something that I've been told is super petty by some friends. For reference, I have a really bad relationship with my mother. Not to get into it here. I've always tried my best to avoid her, but my grandparents who raised me are very old and traditional and believe in the whole, she's your mother, we just have to love her and care for her and forgive her. Words that I've taken almost exactly from their mouths. I got my license when I was well into being 16. She didn't help at all with my hours. She didn't want to help me at all. The only thing she did was take me to the DMV, but I did everything myself, and my grandparents paid for it. My mother has always been a terrible driver and gets really nervous on highways. She's an even worse passenger. She is the worst passenger I have ever had or seen in my life. She has always had the rule that the driver gets to choose the music in the car. This resulted in me listening to garbage songs that I grew up hating and being told to suck it up. I grew up with a taste in different music than what I was forced to listen to that she, unfortunately, knew and liked some of those songs too. The first time I drove in the car with my mother, she was rude, very unnecessarily scared to be my passenger. For example, slamming on invisible second brakes, screaming and shouting at the top of her lungs, hitting me and making passes for the steering wheel. It made me mad, as I already had my license and everyone including her had told me that I was a really good driver. We were driving through the mountains, so there was no radio. On the way back down the mountain, I was playing music from my phone plugged into the car, and I could hear her singing along. My mother thinks that she's an amazing singer who could have been famous in another life, and that her voice is one of the best around to be heard. It is not. So when I realized she was singing along with my song, I got mad and skipped it. It caused her to let out a little "aw" and slouch a little. That made me very happy. So the entire ride, any song that she started humming, singing, or tapping her fingers with, anything at all, I would skip it. It made her very annoyed and sad, but it was doing wonders for my mood. So I kept skipping songs, and it got to the point where any song that I knew, she knew I would skip just for the fun of it. She tried to bring it up, and I countered with the fact that my entire life, she said that the driver gets to pick the music, and she can't change her rules now. That made her very mad, and me very happy. Ever since, it's been something I do with her, and only her. Anytime she says something annoying in the car or makes me mad, or is just a bad passenger. It doesn't happen very often as I'm an adult now and try my best to avoid her in literally every situation, but when it does happen, it makes my day. The driver gets to choose the music in the car. She said it so she can live by it, but I agree with your friends, Revolutionary Low. That is super petty. Our next story is by I Correct Other People. Did you purchase drink insurance? I used to run a restaurant/bar where we would have weekly salsa nights and turn the place into a club. Some of the guests this attracted were not ideal, and one day we had such a guest. This woman gave a hard time to one of the bartenders, cutting in front of other guests, and then, after being served, claiming the drink was too weak. She got into an argument with another guest saying that the guest took her seat, even though she didn't leave anything on the bar or the top of the seat while she was away at the dance floor. Fast forward 1 hour, and I'm called over by a bartender because this woman is now demanding her drink be remade due to her dropping it while dancing. Yes, she was dancing with it in her hand. She looks like she didn't need another drink and should likely be cut off. The second I come over and talk to her, she asks me if I'm the manager, and when I say yes, she says I have to make her another drink because she dropped hers. She's very rude, but luckily we have her card behind the bar, so she can't refuse to pay. I tell her we're not going to remake anything unless she purchased drink insurance. She looks shocked and says, "What the F?" I repeat, "Did you purchase drink insurance? If not, oh well." She was closed out and left, all while saying how she's never going to come back. Never saw her again. Somehow the place remained in business despite this. This person could have hurt their business if she'd gone online and said something about how they required drink insurance. So I'm glad that didn't happen. That's it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories. Until we meet again, have a noteworthy day.